You're listening to Leadership Challenges, the podcast where global business leaders share their unique stories. Today, we're talking to Negar Soufi, an executive and female leader at Infineon Technologies.
Great. Hello. Welcome to our podcast, Leadership Challenges. And I'm Anke. I'm here with my friend, Domenico. Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. It's great to have you here. And we have Negar Soufi here. She's a executive at Infineon. I'm very excited to have you here, Negar. Hello to you.
Hello, Anke. Hello, Domenico.
Hey. Perfect. Hey. As we all know, this is an unscripted podcast, but still we would like to have a few words about you, your background. And I know, so Domenico, would you start and just say a little bit? I know.
I can start. I think I met Negar by chance some years ago, and I think, what we can see is that she has an amazing career and very particular background also. She's from Iran. She's clearly female leaders, constantly growing, and I think is really one of those person that you want to know, you want to understand how her life or how has developed, because we think it can inspire many leaders and in the industry actually. So I was really happy to have the opportunity to have Negar in our podcast, because I think she can really inspire people.
Thank you for joining, and yes, sorry for putting you on the spot, but I know you met in the first place, so just didn't want to, forget that. And Negar, as I said, a really intriguing background. I understand you studied medicine technology in Tehran before you then went to Munich and went into engineering, and then you had your great career at Infineon. And it would be great to hear from you a little bit about, what's important for you, how your career has been.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me. I'm delighted to be part of this very nice initiative, which, I'm sure is going to be both interesting but also fun. So to your question, Anke, so you said it. I started my studies in Iran with medical engineering. Which is kind of a combination. It is an engineering, obviously, right? It's a combination of maybe 20-30% medicine and then electrical engineering. But then I moved to Germany and I studied electrical engineering. I had my diploma from the University of Saarbrücken in Germany. Yes, and so you ask a few questions. I don't know where to start, but let me maybe really start a little bit earlier from the school already. I have been always pretty good in math and physics as I went to school, and that was the natural tendency probably towards technology and technical or engineering stuff. And it was so uncommon for girls. Around me or in the school, everyone wanted to be teacher, doctor, and but still, that was the area where I was really good at, and I loved it. I enjoyed it, and I did take the decision and made the choice to go towards engineering. I didn't really mind to swim against the tide, and I'm really happy and thankful that my family did back me up, because it was really rather uncommon. Yeah, so that's how the path towards engineering, was there in my life, or in my early career life, and so I stayed loyal to that path, because really the more I entered it, the more it made me happy, and so I continued that path. Yeah.
You started with Infineon, I think, after your studies. And to be honest, you just said on a little side comment, and I need to agree with you, because also when I studied economics, political science. And by the way, I didn't dare to go into a technical field, even though I wasn't remotely interested. So your comment about, what about decisions in that, that resonates with me, and I love that you went into this engineering field. So, and I understand you went then into this corporation, Infineon. Tell me a bit about. I'm curious to hear how you felt, yeah, how to say, maybe culturally, because I only have a comparison which is not even as relevant. I only moved from, Germany to the UK a little while, and I felt a difference when I joined a company there, just in subtle nuances. So I would love to hear a little bit about how you perceived your journey and how that went, and how your career developed.
Indeed, I started at Infineon right after my studies was finished and I graduated. And so maybe I tell you first about the changes you were asking, and then I come back to maybe a little bit the journey at Infineon. So I think it was really two major changes, which I can say. And so yes, there have been changes, and there have been new things. And by the way, I think that's really the interesting thing. So you go from one environment to the other, and it can be one country to the other country, obviously from Iran to Germany, which is culturally different. So there are differences, and then you get to know all these differences. So the first thing is you only see the differences, but then the second thing, which I really like to also emphasize on, are the beauties and the opportunities and chances which you have in these differences. So once you get to know all the nuances of the cultures, you really see how rich different cultures are, and you even know more to appreciate this. I call it not diversity, that's a type of diversity, obviously, right? So the first change, obviously, culturally from Iran to Germany, which I had to master, obviously, as I came in end of 90s, so 99. But then the second change for sure is also has been starting at Infineon, which is, from being a student to now being an engineer in a company. By the way, that's also where I started. I started in R&D, so in research and development for power switches at Infineon. And so that's a completely different thing, right? So from university then to being an engineer and developing, chips and products for technical reasons, right? So maybe also here, just to give you some more color, I stayed for a while in the engineering function, right? So I spent around 5 years, in the developments, also leading, starting from smaller projects, but then going to bigger projects, really multi-million budgets for the projects. And then, I was always interested in what happens with the products I develop. Where do they go? What kind of impact do they have for our lives? I mean, we are also, we obviously work, but also we have private lives. So what is the impact of the products I develop or we develop for the environment, society, for us, ourselves? And that is what kind of brought me more towards the business and the business side of it, commercial side of it. I decided to move to marketing and got obviously more in the pleasure of working with customers and really getting those interactions, trying to understand what are the pain points, what are the problems they have, how can we, with our products, solve their pain points, literally going through thick and thin with them, very hard work, solving problems, but also celebrating successes. So that is a while, that's a time which I learned a lot. But obviously, when you interact with customers as a global company, I traveled a lot, really many different cultures. Again, this aspect of multicultural, diverse environment fascinated me even more. And I step by step took more leadership roles within Infineon, also more business responsibility. And right now I'm responsible for, I'm leading a business line at Infineon, responsible for high voltage modules and discrete products going into electric cars. So I'm now in the automotive division for Infineon.
What has been your biggest challenge?
That's a good question. Obviously there are different challenges, right? But I think if you ask me just to say the one challenge you had, especially when you change your role, from let's say non-leadership role to a leadership role, it's a completely different thing. When you are, let's say, running a project, you are the developer of a certain product. It's all what you do, right? But then you do everything. You're responsible for everything. You do everything. When you take over of a leadership role, you have a team. You really need to learn to delegate. You cannot anymore do everything yourself as much as you wanted to. It's a terrible idea, honestly, if you start doing everything yourself. So I think that was definitely at the beginning of leadership, let's say, journey. I think that was one of the topics I really had to learn and adapt and understand how best, overcome that.
To let go. I mean, that's the thing, really, to stay in the back.
Yeah, thanks. Because you have experts in your team, right? And they know better than you, and it's really yeah. So that's to let go. That was an interesting but also rewarding experience for me.
Negar, all these experience you build and this journey you've done as a leader, I think this is super good for in general for a business leader coming in the industry and so on. But particularly, what does it mean from being a female leader? Is there a difference or not? I mean, we talk a lot about these things nowadays everywhere. In every company, is my company, your companies. I mean, Anke, I bet really.
Yeah, let's
Anke
talk about diversity.
Yeah,
because
you
come
spent
on,
time, exactly.
that is important and it's on the forefront
Yeah.
for everyone. Yes.
But what does it mean for you, and what is your angle, or is there an angle, or is totally neutral from your point of view, or it made a difference? I mean, there is something you leave, or something that you where I don't know, you felt it was maybe not fair, or just really different.
So obviously, Domenico, as a woman, I can only judge how a female leader is, but let me answer your question in the best possible way. So we are, I think I'm probably is not adequate to judge worldwide in all countries. So let's take the countries we are in, so Germany, Austria, as a reference point, right? We live and work in democratic countries with a lot of rights and opportunities. From that perspective, I do believe probably my challenges have been similar challenges like all other leaders. I am a true believer in giving the starting point in which country I live or we live and work. It's really, so you get treated in the way you behave. So you define how you want to get treated. And I believe that is an important thing. I believe if that is something I would say to male or female or anyone, any leader, anyone. So the way you want to get treated, behave in that way. And I think that has been always something which accompanied me. And no matter where I have been, I try to be and act like that. You know, have an opinion, make your voice heard, you know, trust in yourself, take ownership. You know, there are things in life or environment we live we cannot change. And there are so many more things we can change and shape. So I think it's really up to us to roll up the sleeves and, you know, find solutions and take ownership. And that's what I would, as an answer, give to your question. I think it's really up to us.
Is there any actual awkward moment that you can remember in your career that is more related to the fact you are a female leader, or this, or you don't have this experience? I have some experience of being an Italian. Sometimes we're working also in a non-European environment, or you know, I've spent a lot of time in the UK, for instance, and so on. I mean, sometimes also I mean, there is always, you know, if you are different, you're different anyway, right? And is a fact. I mean, and I think your company and my company as well. I mean, we are very international, global. I think diversity is a normal thing, but when you go outside, it's not that obvious sometimes, right? It depends who you talk to. So, any awkward things you want to, awkward story or an anecdote that you want to share?
So awkward, probably not, right? I believe, you know, the fact being a woman was probably not necessarily the reason of certain challenges I've been facing. Obviously, in the career or in life. So you know, I think given the point or given the circumstance that definitely, and I would like to also say, unfortunately, still the number of female leaders is underrepresented in, I think, in our industry, in tech industry, which is also valid for Infineon. Made me here and there really to be different, to be the different person in the environment, in the meeting, in the environment, customer meetings, whatever you want to. And that is something which I really believe. You know, just you could take it in a way to say, okay, because of that, you could feel like it is, you know, a not non-pleasant situation, or is awkward to take that. Or you can say, okay, yes, I know I'm different now in this environment, and you can, you know, make the best out of it, and you can say, okay, I try to enjoy it. Yes, there are, you know, chances also to be, you know, chances and maybe sometimes challenges to be different. But so to take that also, I try to, that's the way, you know, I'm always that half full glass type of person. So I try to, you know, it's I always had to, or chose to take the positive aspect of it. So yes, that's different. And so I stay at the same table, or sit at the same table in the same row. I you know, discuss with the colleagues or customers or partners at eye-to-eye level, and that is how I try to really cope with the situations which maybe a little bit different, right? But so that's the way I go through the way I am maybe sometimes different. And I think in most of the cases, really good experience, because then so when you enjoy life, I think that's good for you, but also for the environment. I think that is contagious. When you have positive energy, when you enjoy the situation, that is, in my opinion, a contagious thing.
One situation came to my mind to just also give a concrete example to Domenico's question.
Please go.
That's in fact funny thing. I don't think really that critical, but funny thing. So, you know, obviously, I assume also you have, you know, workshops in your company where then, you know, teams come together, you know, leadership team, and then you have some event or some activities jointly. And I was in one of those workshops, and you know, I like to wear dress or skirt, and it's always like in our workshops, so people like, and by the way, I also like surprises, and we don't know what is the activities oftentimes. So the activities can be also outdoor, and so that's in fact pretty nice. And I simply didn't think about anything. I went with my skirt, so short skirt, tight and everything, and then suddenly the activity is outside, and we have to go out and sit on the grass and do certain really activities where actually with a skirt you don't want to do. It's not probably neither adequate nor comfortable. And then the people were, those who were organizing the workshop, they said, we didn't think about that. You're a lady, you might, wear dresses, or sorry for that. But then we had to obviously find a solution. And I don't get into the details. For sure, we found a solution. But, these situations where I said, okay, yes, that's the difference. If you're in a environment which is, mostly the male colleagues, then that
Yes.
can happen. And then simply you need to be relaxed and then find a solution. And there are always solutions.
Yes. I like that a lot. And I like that actually there has been such an open discussion about, you know what, we didn't think about this. Are you a lady? Which I like because I see, I like human beings. Yeah. So that's how I see it. And everyone is different then. And they just forgot one thing and then they found a solution, which is then, in today's speak, inclusive again. But sometimes things are really simple too. Yeah, because I just wanted to ask you about that. And we were talking about your journey and obviously you making your success in this male-dominated world. And with your great energy and positive attitude. And the thing is, I was contemplating a little bit about myself, and about situations. And sometimes you have the situation that there is, and they embrace the difference. But sometimes this is not happening. And I had experienced that myself. And to be completely honest, in that situation, I didn't even get it. I felt challenged and defensive, and I didn't get it that the main challenge in that situation is that I was thinking very different based on my own heritage and maybe also based on I have maybe a different thinking as a female than a male, and I come from Germany, but obviously I like to be very internationally. So I just realized in reflection and also, in talking to people that the main challenge was that there was a strong tendency of liking the same and not accepting a difference. And that didn't feel great, just to let you know. And I wasn't obviously not in that position too in that meeting being like, I'm so on top of things, I can see, that's the problem. Obviously, this is not happening. We're all human beings. And I was just wondering if that has happened to you.
You mean challenging situations where the difference make it maybe awkward in that moment, and you don't even know why it is?
Yeah, and if you felt that, that what I just described, kind of thing.
Yes, I believe. I believe that is something which, I have experienced, and I do believe, as you mentioned, it is probably because of the differences, diversity. We have differences, obviously, female, male, but also background, cultural. And there are many aspects which can make the situation different. And yes, what I normally in such cases do, and you might not immediately in that moment, moment, understand what is going on and why it doesn't feel right. But then I do reflect because I really, I really like to understand things and also learn, especially for the future, right? So it's similar, like, maybe there are some mistakes you do in your life, wrong decisions that can be private or career life, right? But then you want to reflect and you don't want to repeat it. Yeah, that is something and one of my ambitions always. So I do not have necessarily the ambition to be not to make any mistakes, because I think that's not possible. But I do have the ambition not to have the same mistake twice. And it's similar. So for the situation, and that's not a mistake, but situations which are not understood, I really reflect and try to understand what could be. And sometimes even I brainstorm with others, ideally with some trusted people who maybe have been even in the situation with me, or even offline, to try to understand, okay, do I see something wrong, or am I blind somewhere? Because that can happen. We all have blind spots. And then try to really understand and have at least solution in my mind for potentially next time, which I can be in the similar, it's never same, but similar situation. And then it's also a little bit of trial error, to be honest. We are all human beings, as you said, and we are all different. And I don't think we can plan all situations in advance. And sometimes and that is one of the, maybe challenges, but also the opportunities at the same time we all have, right? So we need to dare to try new things, also in the interaction with other people.
I like the daring. I like to dare new things and not being afraid with this relaxed, positive attitude. I just love it because I think it's so respectful to yourself, but also to others, which I think is always helpful. I have so we talked about diversity in female leadership in tech, etc. I have another question now, which it's not only important for women, it's important for everyone, I think. But I was just wondering how you work-life balance, also with the world of remote working. How do you deal with this? Tell us a little bit about how is that in your situation, and how do you balance that out with your job being, in the top leadership team of your company?
That's a very good point you bring up, Anke. So it is, everyone, me included, needs to find out what are the things which give you even more energy, right? And I think it's really not necessarily the time, how much you have time to do those things, but also the intensity. So what I do, and obviously I do look at it, so I need to make sure that there is we all are human beings, so we work to live. So, and that the part of living it cannot be always underrepresented. But obviously, as I mentioned, is in my opinion, and that works for me, really the intensity. So what I like to do is really, I like a lot of outdoor activities, and I do like sports. So we were, before the recording, talking about skiing, right? Being in the middle of mountains down in Austria where I'm located, I love that. I love mountaineering. In fact, those are things which I really try to do. You have to take actively time for that. A lot of it is over the weekend, I have to admit. But you have to stick with that. You need to make sure you have those things. But there are also little things, like spending time with friends and family. Like very simple things, you might laugh at me, but having every day, well, as long as I'm here, I'm not traveling, a nice breakfast with my husband. That makes my day.
Yeah, I'm not laughing at you. I like that a lot.
I pay attention. I don't have to skip it. Sometimes I might do that, but it's a very active planning. So that is something which a great start in the day in the way you like can make such a difference. And those little things also are not to be neglected. And that's what I try to do. And yes, obviously the job the job is intense, and maybe the one more thing which is important is, which at least works for me very well, the job is intense, but as long as you like what you do, you're passionate about what you do, I think it's fine. And that is what I always make sure it happens. So whatever I do, I have to love. So if I don't like the job, that's nothing like it.
Very good.
Yeah, what can we say? You know, that's how we roll, huh? We love our jobs too. So I think that's super. And I like the skiing piece. A quick question before I know you have one final question, but a very quick question. So you work in your leadership role remote?
So if I do work remote, is that your question? Yeah.
Yes.
So I partially. So especially in my previous job, right? It was not that I was working remote, not coming necessarily to the office, but I had a global and globally located teams where you have to simply work remotely with them, and that is something which is absolutely, COVID taught us that it's possible more than we thought it would be. And that is something we are using. Yes, I do work sometimes remote. And at the same time, I love to have interaction with people, see people, touch people, so just this three-dimensional interaction with people is also something I like. So I try to balance it in a way that, I still have sufficient face time with my team and with the stakeholders with whom I need to work.
Very interesting.
Thank you for that. Because it's such a big topic.
Absolutely.
I have this right, left, and center, also for big global roles. The discussion about remote working style versus, being embedded with the business team, other stakeholder, leadership meetings, etc. And I think it goes without saying that, as you said, COVID taught us remote is possible. But obviously nothing can substitute a face-to-face meeting and the energy being in a room and reading a room,
Right. And I think maybe I add one more sentence. Definitely taking, all these technical possibility which we have. So I do believe we can and do travel less. So I have to also mention that. So, still meeting the teams is important, but I think previously we did not have or did not use sufficiently the technical possibilities we have, and we were traveling much more than now. So I think now you can really also see it in that way, that you balance it out for the environment, for yourself, but also still not really not really compromising, this quality of discussion and energy which you can give, in a face-to-face to your team.
Super. Very last question before we close. So, what is the advice that you will give to young female leaders that are at the beginning of their careers? So, what is the one thing that you would like to say?
Maybe even I start with an anecdote that was an advice to me, and I would like to further give it to anyone at the beginning of his or her career, but also especially maybe female talent. So, as I was leaving Iran for Germany to go for my studies, early 20s or early my 20s, I went to say goodbye to my grandma, and she would have been 100 years old now, roughly, and very wise lady. And, I still remember it was a hot summer day in Tehran, 40 degrees, so we sat there and, obviously not so easy situation saying goodbye to your grandma, you never know if you see her again or not. And then she told me, Negar, whatever you do with your life, make sure you stay on your own feet. That is something which really touched me at that time. She had a very different starting point compared to me, 2 generations before me. And she still demonstrated that to me many times. And I took that very serious. That sentence accompanies me through all these years. And that is something I also like to keep further. I think first thing I would like to say to the people is try to stay on your own feet. You can. Trust in yourself. Make sure you have, you have an opinion, you have a voice, and make sure that voice is heard. Dare to, dare to share your opinion, even if your opinion is the one different opinion in the room. Make sure to, dare to say that. And obviously, what I also told before, I think there are so many opportunities which are on tap. They are waiting for you to grab them. Don't wait. They come and knock on your door. Just take the ownership. It's on you. So do that. And I think these are things which I would really like to give further. It's a lot on us. We can shape it, and that's my last word. We can shape our lives.
I really like it.
It's great.
Really like it.
Thank you so much. Strong.
Strong
Thank
ending.
you. Thank you
Very
for
good.
Thank you for sharing.
I
And
think-
thanks for your time today. It was super.
I think we'll make a special mention of Negar's grandma
100%. We love that.
message. I think it's really, really it's a strong one. It's a powerful one.